Dubai, 2007. Boeing executives were preparing for a victory party. They were convinced Emirates was about to order up to 20 Boeing 747-8 Intercontinentals, the deal that would help revive the Queen of the Skies. The champagne was practically ready to go, and then Emirates said no. What should have been the aircraft's defining customer never materialized. Without Emirates, Boeing's last jumbo was doomed from the start. It's easy to assume the rejection was just about fuel burn or price tags, but the truth is more complicated. This wasn't about one aircraft order, it was about Boeing misunderstanding the airline that mattered most. So, why did Emirates walk away from the 747-8? And how did that single no end the age of the jumbo jet for good? To understand why this deal fell apart, you need to understand what Boeing was really selling. The aviation industry was in the middle of a capacity war. Airbus had just launched the A380, a massive double-decker carrying over 500 passengers. Airlines, especially in the Middle East, were embracing it. Hub capacity was everything. Boeing's answer? The 747-8 Intercontinental. Take the legendary 747, stretch it, add new engines and wings. More passengers than the old 747, better fuel economy, and all that 747 prestige airlines valued. But Emirates wasn't just any potential customer, they were already the world's biggest A380 customer, 47 on order at the time, eventually becoming 161, and then down to 123 aircraft. More A380s than everyone else combined. They were also one of the largest 777-300ER customers on the planet. These twin jets were to form the backbone of their global network, connecting Dubai to everywhere, from New York to Sydney. So, why would Emirates, already committed to the A380 and 777, suddenly want the 747-8? Maybe it saw it as a middle ground, more prestige than the 777, less capacity than the A380, an aircraft that could fill gaps in their network while maintaining the iconic jumbo appeal. The 747 had always been about prestige. Pan Am used them to open the jet age. Every major airline wanted the Queen of the Skies on their marquee routes. But here's where Boeing made their first critical error. It assumed Emirates made decisions based primarily on prestige. Emirates balances prestige with profit, and the numbers, they had to work first. Let's examine where Emirates might have deployed these 747-8s. The obvious candidates were their premium heavy trunk lines, Dubai to New York, that 15-hour journey worth millions in business class revenue. Dubai to London, one of the world's busiest international routes. Dubai to Sydney, where range and passenger comfort mattered most. Boeing pitched the 747-8i as perfect for these missions, 400 passengers in typical configurations. But Emirates never did typical. It wanted to create something spectacular. Fewer seats, maximum luxury, possibly shower spas like their A380s. Except there was one significant problem. Boeing either underestimated or hoped Emirates would overlook. Dubai to Los Angeles, marginal payload with a full passenger load. Dubai to Sao Paulo, challenging. These weren't just routes, they were Emirates' future growth markets, and the 747-8i couldn't reach them reliably with the loads that made them profitable. Every foot Boeing stretched the 747-8 for capacity cost them in range, and range was everything to Emirates' hub-and-spoke model. This was the first crack in Boeing's pitch, but it wasn't the last. Boeing had made a fundamental strategic choice with the 747-8i that would complicate the Emirates deal before negotiations even concluded. It had prioritized capacity over capability. The aircraft could carry up to 467 passengers in standard configuration, impressive numbers that looked good in marketing materials, but that 18-foot stretch came at a significant cost. The 747-8i was trying to be two different aircraft simultaneously, a capacity competitor to the A380 and a range performer for long-haul operations. But Boeing needed to compete with the A380's massive capacity, not just improve on the old 747. For Emirates, this created operational challenges. Its entire business model depended on connecting the world through Dubai. If an aircraft couldn't reach every corner of their network with viable payloads, it complicated their fleet strategy. The numbers told the story. While the 747-8I's range improved to about 7,730 nautical miles, it still couldn't match what Emirates needed for its most ambitious routes. Dubai to Los Angeles, that spans roughly 7,900 nautical miles. Doable, but barely, and not with the payload Emirates required to optimize revenue. Dubai to Sao Paulo, even more challenging. Emirates examined these numbers and identified the core issue. The 747-8I was attempting to serve multiple missions, but excelling at none that specifically benefited Emirates' network strategy. But even if the range had worked perfectly, Emirates faced an even more challenging reality: fleet economics and operational efficiency. The 747-8I seated only marginally more passengers than the 777-300ER, maybe around 30 more in Emirates' luxury configurations. But it burned significantly more fuel, 4 engines versus 2, more complex maintenance, higher training costs. This would add up to millions more in annual operating costs. Emirates had already committed to 777-300ERs in massive numbers. Over 140 would eventually be delivered. They had the pilots, the mechanics, the spare parts infrastructure. Fleet commonality wasn't just about efficiency, it was about competitive advantage in airline economics. Why operate a small fleet of 20 747-8Is when the 777-300ER could carry nearly as many passengers, fly almost as far, but do it with dramatically lower operating costs? Boeing emphasized the prestige angle. The 747 was an icon. Passengers loved it. It would be Emirates' flagship on premium routes. But Emirates understood that prestige also had to be profitable. The airline's A380 proved this: maximum prestige that also delivered maximum capacity and revenue. The 747-8I offered prestige, but without proportional economic benefit. There was another issue Boeing probably didn't want to emphasize: pilot complexity. Emirates was growing rapidly, adding routes constantly. The airline was going to be managing A380 pilots, 777 pilots, and eventually A350 pilots. Adding another aircraft type meant more complexity, more training costs, more scheduling challenges. The 747-8I risked becoming what airline executives avoid: an expensive specialty aircraft that couldn't justify its operating costs across the network. While Boeing worked to convince Emirates of the 747-8I's merits, Airbus was delivering everything Emirates wanted from the A380. Maximum capacity, over 500 passengers in most Emirates configurations, slot efficiency at congested airports like Heathrow, and most importantly for Emirates' brand strategy, unmatched passenger experience. Emirates had transformed the A380 into something revolutionary: onboard showers, business-class bars, first-class suites that were essentially flying hotel rooms. The aircraft became synonymous with Emirates' brand: luxury, innovation, the future of flying. This, paired with celebrity endorsements, made Emirates one of the world's most formidable airline brands out there. The 747-8I simply couldn't compete with that experience. Boeing's Queen of the Skies was still impressive, but evolutionary, not revolutionary. Emirates could build an excellent cabin, but nothing approaching the A380's wow factor. Emirates realized the 747-8I's cabin, while luxurious, couldn't match the A380's game-changing features like onboard showers and bars that defined their premium brand. This gap in passenger experience made the 747-8I a weaker fit for Emirates' strategy of differentiating through unmatched luxury. Emirates' strategy was crystallizing: use the A380 for maximum capacity and prestige on its biggest routes. Use the 777-300ER for efficiency and flexibility everywhere else. It was an elegant two-aircraft solution that covered every possible mission. Where did the 747-8I fit? Nowhere. The 747-8I was too big to replace the 777, too small to match the A380, too expensive to justify as a niche player. The airline saw the future clearly. A380 plus 777 equals global coverage. 3 different wide-body types, pure operational complexity with minimal benefit. The 777-300ER became its workhorse, over 140 delivered, connecting Dubai to destinations the 747-8I could never reach profitably. The A380 became Emirates' global signature, 123 delivered, making Emirates the world's largest operator by an enormous margin. The aircraft became synonymous with Emirates' brand internationally. But then, in the 2010s and 2020s, Emirates continued evolving. 205 Boeing 777X on order, 50 Airbus A350-900s, 35 Boeing 787-9s for thinner routes. The strategy remained consistent: efficient twin jets for most missions, ultra-large aircraft for slot-constrained hubs. Then, fly Dubai to feed into its large global network from secondary cities within 6 hours from Dubai. We now need to talk about what Emirates rejection meant for Boeing. Without Emirates, passenger sales struggled. Total production, excluding VIP aircraft, just 36 747-8s to 3 airlines. Lufthansa took 19, Korean Air took 10, Air China took 7. That was it. While Boeing struggled to sell just 36 passenger 747-8Is, Airbus had secured 50 A380-900 orders from Emirates in 2019, and an additional 15 in 2023. Boeing had to pivot to the 777X, which has faced delays into 2026, underscoring how Emirates' rejection exposed Boeing's misstep in a fiercely competitive market. Meanwhile, Emirates' bet on the A380 proved successful. Emirates alone operated 123 A380s. The airline basically kept the A380's production alive until 2021. The last passenger 747-8i rolled off Boeing's production line in 2017, ending over 4 decades of passenger jumbo production. Emirates proved airlines could dominate globally with strategically chosen aircraft types. The 777 and A380 covered every mission Emirates needed, from 300 passenger flights to 500-plus passenger services. Today, Emirates operates one of the world's most efficient and profitable wide-body fleets, all without a single passenger 747, which takes us onto the prestige factor. Emirates' decision reflected a fundamental shift in airline fleet philosophy. The era of buying aircraft primarily for prestige was evolving. Emirates, despite its luxury reputation, made business-first decisions. Prestige had to deliver proportional economic value, as their A380 success demonstrated. Emirates' global model demanded aircraft reaching anywhere from Dubai with profitable payloads. The 747-8I's range limitations weren't minor inconveniences, they were strategic constraints. Fleet commonality became increasingly important. Why operate multiple aircraft types when 2 could handle every mission? Emirates proved that airlines could build massive networks with strategic simplicity. Large aircraft for high-capacity routes, efficient aircraft everywhere else. Today's successful carriers reflect similar philosophies. Complex fleets with multiple aircraft types became less common, not more. Emirates almost changed the Boeing 747-8 Intercontinentals' fate. The airline's potential order would have represented nearly half the program's total production. Its backing might have convinced other airlines to follow, possibly extending passenger 747 production. But the numbers simply didn't align. Too much complexity for insufficient benefit. The 747-8i had no clear place in Emirates' strategic equation, regardless of its iconic status. Today, with the A380 out of production and passenger 747 production ended, the industry has no very large passenger aircraft in development. Airlines operate with efficient twin jets, even on routes that could benefit from more capacity. The Queen of the Skies has served aviation well, but in airline economics, heritage doesn't guarantee continued success. Hey, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like this video next, so why not check it out?